We're expected to score touchdowns and put points on the board. We didn't execute the red zone stuff and didn't punch it in.
But if you're a Giant fan, you want to see these efforts result in W's, right? And that's what's frustrating about the Washington game and the game last night.
I need you to either be bad so we can make a decision, or I need you to be good so we know where we are. Daniel Jones is neither. He's in the middle of abyss.
Giants fans are furious about the start to their season, and I bet you Brian Daboll is looking for the seat warmer because his seat's getting pretty hot there in New Jersey. But the truth is, the Giants are actually doing a few things really well, and they do have something to build on for the future. In the offseason, I made a video about why I believe the Giants were making the right moves now that will help them in 2025 and beyond. And while I don't know if John Mara will have the patience to keep Brian Daboll in the head coaching role for the 25 season, the Giants are poised for a big year next year, even if it means taking their lumps for the rest of 2024. But before we get to the steak, we got to eat our veggies, which is just a fancy way of saying I've got to ask you to subscribe. So here we go. Before we get to the content, please remember to like and subscribe to help the channel grow, and turn on those notifications so that you don't miss an upload. How'd I do? That sound good? Some dude on YouTube said if you ask for subscribers, you do a lot better than the videos where they don't ask for subscribers. So, I don't know, just listening to people. Look, I know why most of you clicked on this video. You want to hear me tell you why Daniel Jones sucks, or you want to hear me tell you why Daniel Jones isn't as bad as people make him out to be, or you want to hear me tell you why his beard didn't give him the superpowers that Pat McAfee and Kay Adams promised us it would. And we'll get to that. We've got to talk about Daniel Jones and this offense. But first, I want to talk about this Giants defense. 2 months ago, if I told you that the Giants were going to lose 28-6 to the Vikings in week 1, you'd probably have told me that J.J. McCarthy must have balled out, or you'd tell me that Cock, that's Kevin O'Connell, you'd tell me that Cock is a brilliant offensive mind, or maybe you'd say neither of those things, and instead you'd tell me how dreadful the Giants defense must be. But let's look at that game. The Giants lost 28-6. How much of it was really the defense's fault? First of all, the Giants defense forced a fumble deep into the Vikings' own territory, leading to half of the points they would score that day. Second of all, 7 of the Vikings' points came on a drive saved by this dreadful pass interference call. And then third of all, another 7 came on a pick 6. So the Giants defense is really only responsible for 14 points, in my opinion. You could make the argument for 21, because fine, even when you give up the pass interference call, and even though it was a bad call and whatever, your job is to still find a way to stop the offense. So fine, you can make the argument for 21 points were the defense's fault. But in a game where the offense really earned 3 points, because remember, 3 of those came on the turnover, like I said, the offense really only earned 3 points. I don't know that if I'm Brian Daboll, I'm getting too upset at my defense. I feel like the defense actually played pretty well in week 1 when you take everything into consideration. You know, I've always said that I really think an offense is responsible for getting at least 24 points. 3 touchdowns and a field goal. You got to get me 24 points. And in general, if you get 24 points in the NFL, especially early in the season, you're going to win a lot of games because offenses tend to struggle early in the season for some reason. So by that metric, I would say the Giants defense held up their end of the bargain by really only allowing 21. But all right, let's move along to week 2. Giants at Commanders. Giants offense played a much cleaner game. 2 touchdowns for Daniel Jones. No interceptions. It looks better, but still, you're not meeting my 24-point requirement when you're only putting up 18 points. Defensively, despite being on the field for 37 minutes of the game, the Giants defense still didn't allow a single touchdown that entire game. They only allowed field goals. So once again, I'm not that upset with my defense if I'm Brian Daboll. All right, week 3, the only week so far this season where the Giants offense accounted for more than 20 points. And what do you know? They won. Not to mention, in that 21-15 win, 7 of the Browns' points came from them being set up to score with a fumble on the kickoff. And that brings us to Thursday Night Football, where once again, the Giants offense couldn't do a damn thing. Daniel Jones was missing easy throws, wasn't getting his feet set. Meanwhile, the Giants defense only allowed 20 all night, only allowing 6 in the second half. So in a game where once again, the Giants defense was on the field, this time for 35 minutes of the game, I'd still say they played pretty well. And in a game where I kept waiting for the Cowboys to run away with it, to let me go to bed because I actually wasn't feeling that well on Thursday night. The damn Giants defense made me keep watching because they kept their team in the game the whole way through. So bottom line, Giants fans, I don't think the trade for Brian Burns and the contract to Brian Burns, I don't think that was a mistake. I like the Giants defensive line. That defensive line, by the way, was second in sacks coming into week 4, and they added another one Thursday night. There's a lot to like about the Giants defensively. I'm not going to say that they're like the best in the league by any means. They're not. really the defense has kept them in 3 of the 4 games, and like I said earlier, I feel like they kind of kept them in 4 of 4. So now we got to turn to the offense. If I'm a Giants fan, there's a lot to like about the offense as well, to be honest with you. We all know that Malik Nabers is going to be a dude in this league. He came into week 4 in the top 10 in receiving yards. Prior to the Sunday games, he's actually ranked number 1 at the moment. But you want to talk rushing? Devin Singletary's averaging 3.9 a carry, and that's nothing to write home about. But that's not an unacceptable number by any means. That's productive enough. If I could get 3.5 yards on every single play in the NFL, I would never lose a game. So we like wide receiver. We like the running back. Who's left on offense? All right, fine, I'll talk about him. No, Daniel Jones is not playing particularly well. No, I don't think Daniel Jones is a good quarterback in the NFL. Never have. If you've been following the channel, you know that I'm not a big Daniel Jones guy. If you've been following the channel, you also know that I'm not a big Drake May guy, and there's a connection between the two. When I watched Drake May's highlights, I noticed that a lot of his best throws would be interceptions in the NFL. They're plays where the receiver has to stop or already be completely stopped in order for May to hit them, particularly when the receiver is further down the field. May doesn't hit guys in stride. May doesn't throw guys open. I would say the same thing is true of Daniel Jones. He has a hard time hitting guys in stride. He has a hard time hitting guys down the field. He doesn't throw guys open. He doesn't hit them on the run. Another issue with Daniel Jones, he doesn't read the defense fast enough. According to Next Gen Stats, Daniel Jones is 20th in time to throw. In other words, he holds the ball. Honestly, based on what we've seen from Jones to this point in his career, I don't think I'd want him as a backup on my team, much less the franchise quarterback. But the good news for Giants fans is the Giants don't have to stay married to him beyond this season. He's got 2 years remaining on his contract and would only cost $22 million in dead cap if they cut him after this season. The Giants can spread that over 2025 and 2026. Bob's your uncle, Sophia's your aunt. Yes, I got that from Pirates of the Caribbean. You can get rid of Daniel Jones after this year, which would open the Giants to going into the draft for a quarterback potentially. Or let me float this by you. There will be a quarterback from Minnesota that's available next season, either in free agency or trade. If Sam Darnold keeps playing like he has, I think the Vikings would be foolish to let him walk. Doesn't mean they won't, but if the Vikings are smart, they keep the guy that's proven he works in their system, and they trade away the unknown, which would be J.J. McCarthy. So McCarthy would potentially be available for trade, and the Giants could potentially trade for him. If the Vikings aren't so smart, or they can't get a deal worked out with Darnold because he feels like he's worth more and whatever, hey, maybe it's not a bad idea to bring Darnold back to New Jersey, this time in blue. I'm Seattle Mike on the mic, coming at you from the one and only Seattle. I'll catch you guys next time. Later.